welcome to this 45th episode of Dust War Journals. And today I am Magnus, and you are?
Well, funny enough, I'm still Ludda, actually.
You are?
Yes,
Cool.
I was thinking about being somebody else just for today, but no, I'm Ludda.
Yeah, but we are missing somebody.
Oh yes, yeah, that's why we have the symbolic third cup here in the middle of our table. Unfortunately, for some reason, there's been some snafu for Johannes, so he's not here.
He had to make some last minute backing out from today, so but we decided to still try to do something without his immense technological knowledge.
Yeah, this is flying on what do we call it? Flying on top of our pants? No, flying on the edge of our pants. That's I don't know.
I hope we managed to get everything rigged, but this is sort of like impromptu, really.
Yeah. This is impro.
We're not quite sure what we're doing, but anyways, we'll see.
The only difference now is that now you are somewhat responsible because I never know what I'm doing, so it's status quo over here, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's my responsibility today. So
Yes.
yeah, it might fail, it might succeed. We'll see. Okay. Anyways, what have you been up to lately?
Oh yeah, let's do some hobby time. Well, the thing is, I've been. Someone has been, as I told the guys at the GV store, had tricked me to start doing the Lord of the Rings game again.
Yes. Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And who might that be? Who might be the guy who tricked you into this?
I don't know, but I think it was you.
Really? Me?
Yes. Humble you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's in these Corona times, I happened to rewatch the movie trilogy.
You had to bring that up. I thought it was so good a pod. How much was it? 2 minutes we managed, and then you had to go and ruin everything.
Just giving some sort of context.
Yeah, well, you give something. That's true.
But anyway, I got a bit inspired, and I remembered I had some miniatures laying around in my storage room in the basement, so I went there and searched for them, and I actually found them in pretty good condition. That's how it happened. So we've been cheating a little bit on Dust, playing Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a wonderful game. The only problem with it is that it's not gridded. Actually, it is still a little bit with those. Well, when you and I play, it's no problem because we don't cheat the way, or I mean, we respect each other so much. So at least for my part, I'm not worried when you move your minis around and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it felt really weird to bring out that tape measure again.
Oh,
actually.
yes.
I haven't been doing that for ages now.
No.
We've been playing just pure gridded for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt kind of weird, but then, it turned out okay anyways. And I see this game as very, very, very beer and pretzels, relaxed game, the Lord of the Rings game. I'm not sure. I have actually, many years ago, I played a few tournaments and stuff in this game, but I don't think that I would want to play tournaments in this game anymore.
No, I'm not. It's not the game that I want to play tournaments. I would like to play some friendlies against the little gnomes there in Linköping that we know of that plays these. So I wouldn't mind doing like Dust War Journals versus the Griffin podcast tournament kind of thing, or like head to head. That would be just cool. But for a regular tournament, it will take much before I would play. For me, Dust is the only competitive game for me. I mean, this is, as you say, but we also have been playing a lot of battle companies. We haven't played the full scale games yet, so it's small.
So far, we've only played really small Lord of the Rings games. So. But anyways, anything else you've been doing?
Yeah, well, that has led me to start to repair some of my old terrain. And when I've been doing that, I've been realizing that I can also start making some adjustments so it can fit into gridded squares. And I'm doing a new hill that originally was supposed to be with the Lord of the Rings table, but it's just happened to be 10 by 20 centimeters, and it will be very interesting to have in a dust game, and it will go well with my forest table that I'm slowly crafting. It's taking ages, of course. It's been so much, so it's been on a back burner. But so yeah, so that's what I've been doing amongst several things. I've been finishing the Snickerboa now for the I was talking about this barn or this
the house
farmstead.
you showed last time. Yeah.
So it's a little shed where they put the young guy when he's doing pranks, or he runs to hide in there because he don't want to get his father's wrath from the stories. So that's one is done now, and I'm preparing to start with the big barn where we will have the animals, as I talked about. But also I've been up to Linköping, and I've been playing their latest Linköping Days of Dust, and it was great. I had my allied army because for some reason I was thinking about bringing a really over-the-top KV army that I was thinking about bringing to Poland as well. But as we said in the last podcast, my daughter had an intervention there and sat on my KVs. So I started doodling with the Rangers and the Allied 2s, and I love them so freaking much. So I just, okay, I'll bring them.
That's a pretty good backup plan, actually. It's, I mean, it's a cool army. So
it's definitely a cool army. And after the tournament, I'm very pleased I played it because it measures the scenarios very well. You learn the scenarios very well playing one of those when you train. I mean, the Russian scenario, I mean, not Russians, the Polish scenario, yeah. Because we were playing the three scenarios for the Euro Championship at Linköping.
Yeah, the upcoming European Championship.
Yeah.
They posted their scenarios that will be played there, and this was some kind of, I don't know, preparation maybe?
Yeah, for me...
For those that will go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly who will, but...
Unfortunately, it seems tough to get more Swedes to go. I had a little, perhaps, light in the tunnel with one guy yesterday when he called me that he might be going because he has some Polish connections. So perhaps I get a friend with me, and that would be immense. But at the moment, otherwise, it seems... It's only me actually who's been going, but and
we'll see. This, I mean, it's strange times with this Corona stuff. So you never know. Basically, it might change, it might not. So it might get worse. I hope not, but still. So you never know. No,
perhaps you can't go. So then, but now I have a spec brand new army, or. It's old miniatures, but it's a brand new composition for myself to Poland, and I haven't played that army once, so I'm hoping I can get some games with that army at least. So I learn a little bit how that army works, but we will have to see. But also, I'm doing a lot of things apparently. My brother went back to his roots and called me and said, we haven't played the Axis and Allies board game for 20 years now. I have such nostalgic memories now in these summer times when I'm thinking about how everything was when we were young. So he told me, bring the Axis. Unfortunately, I didn't have all my Axis and Allies games at my own place at the moment, so I brought just the anniversary edition. And we played that a few days, and it was immensely fun staying at his place and reconnecting with our old gaming habits from when we were young. But then I realized that a friend of mine, actually 15 years ago, something like that, or 10 perhaps, borrowed my double axis box with all the extra rules and extra everything. So I called him, I got it back, and now I'm preparing a special, I would like to call it a Mauritsson, which is the surname for me and my brother, edition of a game. And hopefully I can trick you, Johannes, and perhaps some other friends like Eric or something to come and play with us. But if we do that, we just have to have a training camp for you guys to because the rules are so different.
Right.
And but it's a very fun way to play that game, I think, and I think actually you guys would appreciate playing it. You would at least get an experience beyond any Axis experience you ever had. I can 100% guarantee that much.
Yeah, sounds interesting, definitely.
And well, of course, the most important thing, I'm also preparing for the start of, because we actually started yesterday, but we haven't played any games yet, but the official start of the new season 2 of the online tournament online league started yesterday.
Right.
So, and since we haven't played any games yet, I still think one of you guys out there could still join, or at least you can always join for season 3 then. But if you want to play Dust, you have an 60-point army, you would be very welcome. It would be perhaps a little bit complicated if you're in a totally different time zone, but please don't hesitate. We are a friendly bunch and we play for fun. Even it's a league, we play for fun. So please give us a shout out if you hear this and want to be part of the league, because it's been some fun games, at least the ones I played.
Yeah. Get in touch with Ludwig or
Emil. He's the big charge.
Many people knows who you are, so get in touch with Ludwig and he will direct you.
Definitely. Hook me up on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
Cool.
Yeah.
For me, I haven't really had too much time except for the Lord of the Rings stuff. My hobby time kind of went to that. But today, actually, just a few hours ago, something cool happened. My brand new 3D printer arrived. It's still in the box. I haven't really unboxed it yet. So because I had to come over here as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm amazed you actually came when I saw the package. I thought, this is character, Magnus. This is character.
So, well, I kind of know what I will be doing for the next few days. So we'll see. It's a very simple 3D printer, actually. Mm-hmm. It is sort of a beginner's printer, but kind of maybe a little bit of a step up. Yeah. I'm not too sure yet, and I'm fairly new because, me and Mats, we bought one together, but he's been the one doing all the actual printing, so I don't really know too much about all the software and settings and fine-tunings and whatnot, so I have a lot of learning in front of me now. But it's going to be...
that must be so fun. I'm so envious.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it's going to be a bit frustrating maybe before you get it going, before you learn what works and what doesn't. But anyways, from all the stuff I've seen on the internet, like YouTube videos and all the stuff that's on Thingiverse, and there's so much cool stuff that you can print. And obviously I'm going to start with things that somebody else have designed already.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just... I do have some CAD experience, but not at all designing miniatures and stuff. I work in construction, so everything has, good angles and everything is straight and nice and
But we can expect some interesting terrain pieces from you at least.
I hope so. That's actually that's the primary thing basically. I hope to be able to print some cool stuff and not having to make everything by hand. To cheat a little bit and print some easy things. Yeah. And use when building terrain. So that's what I hope for. So we'll see how it goes and how fast it goes. I have really no idea.
And how much tolerance your wife and the neighbors have for the sound it makes.
Yeah, but that's one of the criteria. When I looked around for the printers, I found this one, which is very, very silent. It's below 45 decibels. And for you who don't really know, that's really quiet. And you can, if you want it to get even more quiet, you can change the fan, the sort of big fan, which isn't very big, but still you can change it to a different one. I can't remember what it's called, but
no, but yeah.
But still, because the most the noise from the machine mostly comes from the fan, actually, in this case. And it's all, it's like in a box, so you can kind of close it also as well, glass door and stuff. So it kind of...
Good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's supposed to be quiet. So
yeah.
that's actually a big selling point for me. So
it's a lot of things to look forward to when you come with your hobby time in the future. Then. So yeah,
we'll see. Well. Okay, so there hasn't been too much of releases since last time, but we do have a couple. First, we have the Fallschirmjäger anti-tank missile squad in Babylon pattern. This is a premium unit.
Yep.
So it's been out before, but not this specific Babylon pattern. So.
No, that's true. That's true.
But it's a nice.
Yeah.
Sort of, I wouldn't maybe call it all-round unit, but they can do...
A little bit of both.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a cool unit. And second is not really a release, I think, but there was some buzz about this new Kickstarter with a bunch of female models. And if I understood correctly, one of them is completely designed by Paolo himself.
Yeah, he makes a guest appearance on the Hot and Dangerous Kickstarter.
And they also, and if you decide to get this model, you will also get an official dust card for the model.
Yeah, and appropriate, it's a Fallschirmjäger girl. That's so it links with this Fallschirmjäger anti-tank missile squad.
Yeah, and if I checked the card a little bit earlier, and she has two special rules.
Yeah, well, I don't know actually.
One of them was called Burn It, I think, which is the same as Magda.
Ooh, yay!
If this is a pilot, this female Axis hero is a pilot. So if she pilots a walker and that walker is not moving this activation, any flame weapon will get one longer range.
Yeah.
But the thing is, she's a Fallschirmjäger hero, so if you want to keep in faction, you don't have too many choices.
No, but you get those small little...
and you also get the E...
tanks, yes.
Flam...
so...
What's it called? Sorry. The name escapes me right now. It's the E10, right?
Yeah, I think it's a 10. Yeah, I think it's a 10.
But anyway, one of those is
an E-tank.
So you do have a couple of choices, not too many. But on the other hand, you don't have to keep in faction. You never do. So you can put her in Flamluther, for example.
And you know, that's when it gets interesting, because she's also a defensive pilot, I see now.
Yeah.
And if you drop her, will you have a cover save?
Yes,
or is
because that is not the movement.
But then she doesn't. No, but isn't it when you move, you get a cover save?
Yeah, opposite. Sorry, the other way around.
So she won't get a cover save when she drops it.
No, unless she actually moves.
So it's only for the E10. Well, so then she has to drop in the back, and then she can rush it with it. If she's not too cocky and likes to...
Yeah, but the burn it rule, it works when dropping.
Yeah.
So that is not the movement, so she can flame stuff a little bit longer. So these two abilities is actually exactly the same as Magda. Magda has both of these as well. So this is basically an Axis Fallschirmjäger version of Magda.
So
they have a slight difference in weapons and also in the base movement. Magda has 3-4 movement, while this Axis Johanna has 2-4 movement. So they are very, very similar, but of course Magda can be used by any army.
But that Lufthansa is alone the Luft with the flamer. Isn't that a range 2 as well? So she can flame 3 squares when she drops. That would be sweet bejesus or whatever. What's the way those funny guys from America says it? I don't know.
Good question. We'll do a very quick search here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see what we can find.
And everything is blippily blopping all over here. So But you're already, there you go. You're quicker than me. But that's the young people of today. Range 2 with the flame. So that means when she drops, she flames 3 squares.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
That's pretty nasty. I mean, if she drops for some of the last units with that Lufthorst, that could be... I don't want to be on the receiving end there. Definitely not. Yeah, well, nice. Interesting.
Interesting, and I think it's very cool that Paolo does this kind of thing to kind of... I mean, this will obviously draw attention from non-Dust players who are interested in these kinds of miniatures. Yeah. Who will see this and hopefully be interested in the game when they see that, this model actually have some cool rules.
Yeah, and I didn't back the season 1 for these Hot and Dangerous, but I managed to get one of the Allied girls and one of the Russian girls as well through Marek, I think, afterwards. And that Allied girl is now standing proudly on one of my... medicine time. Well, she's standing proudly on one of my smaller Allied walkers there. And the Russian one has a place on one of the Russian tags, but she's not glued fast yet. So, And just before we leave it, I realize, you still have a correct, so to say, Fallschirm army for the point cost and everything. If you take the Flammluther, and if she comes running with that, and that makes 3 range flame attacks and also has 8 wounds and with the defensive, that could be evil as well.
That was one of my first thoughts actually. Even though it might break the faction bonus stuff.
It's just 12 points.
It's still an interesting combo.
Yeah,
I think.
Have to play really low point totals if it's going to break or if it's going to destroy. Usually, at least, you will have 25 or Sorry, I'm blabbling.
Yeah, I mean there is an extra level that you have to consider when building your army, of course. But still, I think that could be a very interesting combo. And I think it's time to head right over to the mail call because we do have a big chunk of questions. We actually have a sort of backlog. Stuff that we haven't really had time or possibility to answer just yet. So we will actually start with those going back. I can't remember exactly when we got these questions. No. But anyway, those are good questions.
Yeah, so definitely.
We'll just start from the top here. First, we have Adam Shagan, and he's got 3 questions basically. Yeah. The first one is Nadir, flying or walking? Which unit do you think he will excel more with? And Nadir is obviously the fairly new
carpet flying kind of guy.
Mythos hero. So what do you think about Nadir?
I'm trying not to. No, but basically, since everyone knows I'm not a Mythos player, so this is a hard question for me. What's the word I'm not finding at the moment? I'm two-sided about it.
On the fence.
Yeah, I'm on the fence because I love the sculpt. It's a beautiful sculpt. It's magical with that carpet and stuff, of course. And being a big fan of the Swedish detective Ture Sventon, which gets a carpet from Omar from Egypt, he just happens to pop into Stockholm and sell him a flying carpet. I always have a love for flying carpets, but I'm still having some problems that I'm still rooted, in the Second World War kind of wargaming. I know Dust isn't Second World War; it's a twisted game, and I love everything about the twist. But still, the flying carpet is still hard for me to stomach, So.
I'm also on the fence about the looks of him with, the carpet.
Yeah.
The carpet thing is kind of, yeah, but I've said it before many times that I'm not a Mythos player,
No.
really. And this might be too weird for me as well. I'm not sure. But if we go to the gameplay,
Yeah.
variant, and basically we also need to say that this is actually a Johannes question.
Yeah.
He should be here to answer this, but
Yeah.
unfortunately he's not. So we'll just do what we can.
No, definitely. We hope he will, perhaps in the next episode, answer it a little bit more properly.
Maybe we will discuss this question again next time when hopefully Johannes is
In the middle.
is here in the middle.
Yeah.
But anyway, gameplay wise, what do you think about Nadir?
Yeah, it's
Just looking, I don't know. I haven't played against him, so I don't really have any first-hand experience.
No, the same actually here. So, but I feel like you would be more irritated when he boasts the flying small Mythos creatures there, because the Migos and stuff. Because those I always felt are quite easy to take out. They are like the Allied 3 heavy rangers. You know, they are frightening if you let them do their shit, and they can really rip your army if you are passive against them.
Yeah, but they're fairly easy to get rid of.
Yeah.
So usually I'm not too scared of them alone. So I think I will agree with you on this one. That I think he will boost any unit.
Oh, definitely.
He'll make that unit a lot better.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter too much which unit if you want to play him and put him in any unit, and he will make that unit a lot better.
Oh yeah.
But if you ask me, what unit does he boost the most? I mean, the kind of difference before or after adding Nadir.
Yeah.
I think also one of the Migo units benefits the most.
Yeah. So we're in agreement again. This is scary stuff.
It feels weird.
Yeah. We say that all the time, but apparently we are just the same.
Okay, so next question from Adam. What changes do you think will happen with the other aircraft to make them line up with the Allies? Yeah, because the Allies, they got a bit of an update a little while back now, but still. And I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't see any specific things that kind of needs or really. I mean, I would probably argue that a couple of aircraft is a bit too expensive, or maybe you could do something, but I can't see any that specific. The Allied ones, I felt they really needed, because you super rarely saw the Allied airplanes.
Yeah, and well, I think I have to also say a little something a little bit sad thing there is that the problem with the airplanes, both the Allies and the Germans, are nowadays actually that they are a little bit too expensive. That's the breaking. I would love to start playing with more planes, but the costs of buying planes to that extent would I feel you get a lot more punchy stuff, so you really have to go for it. And so actually, if you could knock off €5 on each plane, I think that is a better way to get them more played.
Yeah, maybe. But
Sorry.
we have said this before also, that at least I remember, I would like more pilots, more aircraft pilots. And I think that, I mean, there aren't too many of them.
No.
I think the Allies have exactly 0.
Yep.
So a bunch of pilots for the different factions, which are they can be fairly cheap, of course, depending on their abilities. But if you give them abilities that they will only benefit, like, in a very specific way, if you make them sort of situational, if you know what I mean. But then again, cheap. I mean, we have seen the what's the name of the
new mercenary pilot? Yeah,
I can't remember the name at the moment.
We're too old for this.
Yeah, but I mean, stuff like that, because it's a cheap and interesting.
Definitely.
And I think you can do that if you do it within the block, because then it or within specific factions and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So you can make interesting combinations that way, which, as long as the hero is cheap enough,
Yeah.
then maybe that hero will make the airplanes more interesting.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a good thing when you got the Red Baron. You still get the Red Baron with the German laser plane, because then it's the Blitz, because then it gives you the double options, and you also have 2 different planes. Of course, that's also good. And I that could be after the European Championship, when you come home with your little new pilot.
I mean, I could see heroes with an ability saying that if this hero pilots this specific aircraft, then this benefit comes out of it.
Okay, yeah.
So they are very, very situational, or very, tied to a specific airplane. That's fine to me.
Yeah, if the Canona, for instance, if all they get to reroll hits, not reroll hits, but reroll misses, that could be, and it could be just rerolling shields. So like you can't reroll if you manage to roll a crosshair, but so it's like there's a little bit base.
All sort of things, and to me that would also be very thematic, because a lot of the pilots, they had like their own
special plane,
either specific airplane. They were piloting exact the same plane, until it was shot down, basically, or at least a specific model, a specific type of plane. So I think that would tie in nicely.
Yeah. That would be great. That would be really great if that were happening, and I think they could make a little box, perhaps even sell. I mean, perhaps, but I think they could sell a box with like airplane pilots, and there could be like 5 different pilots in that box, and even if I don't play. It could be from all factions. I mean, the air fight aces or something they could do. If they don't want to make 3, 4, 5 German pilots in a go, I'm fine with 1 for Axis, 1 for Allies, 1 for SSU. And okay, SSU perhaps don't need, because they already have 2 so nice and interesting characters over there. But it is a good... it's a good thing if we could get more pilots, definitely. And perhaps you could, or perhaps you can get some. Perhaps the Axis could get some, like if they play 3 airplanes, every airplane is 1 point cheaper, or they get some bonus for.
Like squadron.
Yeah.
Squadron bonus.
Yeah, that could be something. So it's just, you have to really go for it. But if you do, you get some points cheaper, and because
there are lots of ways to do interesting things there. Well, anyway, the last sort of question from Adam is, you guys holding up okay over there? And thank you, Adam. We are doing fine.
Well, we are kind of doing fine, I would say, when we think that we are only...
it is what it is. Both,
it is what it is.
in the bigger picture with the Corona stuff, and also over here. Hopefully we're doing this okay. We'll see. We'll see what comes out of this episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to the next one.
Please.
We have Ea Voss asking, how about the command squads having the observer skill? I think it would make them much more playable.
Yeah, I'm totally down with that. I would love to see that, because they have a radio and they are observing the battlefield, and they should be able to do that as a command skill, I think. And I don't think that would bring the point cost up or down. I think that's not breaking the game. They should be able to have that as a command skill.
Yeah, I don't really see any problem with that either, because normally an observer wants to have a sort of forward position, which can be a bit difficult and or dangerous with the command squad. So it gives you some interesting choices.
Yeah, definitely.
And also it would make command squads worth more, obviously, to have one more skill. I do have to say that I've read a couple of discussions now where people say that they very rarely play with command squads and they find them not worth it, which I was very surprised about because I wouldn't say always, but almost always play with command squad, unless maybe I'm playing my old zombie army or something like that. That doesn't really need it.
No, definitely.
But I usually play with command squads. I mean, a lot of players, they play with just an officer hero and then plays it in a week or something like that. But I don't know. I like the sort of utility because I don't only use the reactivation. I use the other stuff as well. Maybe not always. Maybe not, more than once a game or something. But when I do need that mechanic, I like having it. So.
And I mean, there are a few armies where command squads could be really nasty if you use them in the right way. I'm actually thinking that perhaps the way I've compositioned my army, that would be my army now for Poland, I think the command squad's other skills could be a little bit irritating to my opponent, depending if I can utilize it, of course, in combination with other stuff. But I'm having a little thing there. And then there are definitely a few HQs that are very attack-minded. I mean, like the...
That's exactly what I was thinking. My thought was basically that maybe people are just not considering all their options. Because more or less all the command squads, they have so many options. Yes, they do cost some points, but I remember it's been a while now since I played my Axis heavy infantry army. But that heavy Axis command squad, they have some serious firepower.
Oh yeah.
So let's say the battle is going not great for you. You're a little bit on your heels. There's been so many times in that situation where instead of just trying to bunker down and reactivate some strong unit, I just going all out attack, like guns blazing with them, and they can really do wonders.
Oh, definitely.
Don't underestimate the firepower of the command squads.
No, I learned that the hard way, that the way you want to go about killing just that type of HQ with, the Axis level 3, is not by an airplane. That's not a good option. You do it with the grenade launcher instead. It is an option. Yes, it is. Not a good one. Definitely not. And the obvious other ones are, of course, the Spetsnaz, the frogs, for instance. They pack a lot of firepower and can do so much more fun stuff than just reactivate. So actually, if I see someone having a frog HQ and they reactivate with that, I think it's something wrong with you. But and you have the Desert Scorpion HQ, of course. That's also in the fight there, and there are a few others as well. You shouldn't mention them all. You can find out some for yourself. So but that's the answer to the question. Yeah, we should. They should do that. We second that. Make them observers.
I really don't see it as a problem, like, either way. I don't think they will be too powerful if you get this, and I don't think. Yeah, it's a nice one. So why not? Okay, going to the next question. We have a couple of questions here from Trent Nichols.
Yep.
And Trent is asking, are there any rules from previous iterations or even other rule systems that you miss? Trent is saying, I miss heroes being able to leave joint squads during a game. It made them feel heroic, taking off and charging an enemy on their own. And he also writes that he misses to be able to call in reinforcements through an officer, like once per game. They used to have a special ability to call in extra reinforcements. Do you have any old stuff from other systems that you miss?
Yeah, I definitely agree with him that it was we have this conundrum I have a lot of rules I would like to change. I have a lot of rules from previous versions that I would love to have kept. I totally understand and agree that the transformation, the changes are making the game more accessible for more players, and we get a bigger and better community that way it is. So I feel like the game is a better game because it is the way it is. That's basically, I seriously think so. But of course, being an old war gamer, the old line of sight rules in level 2 are much better as a game mechanic. But we will lose 2/3 of the players because they can't handle them for some reason. I don't want to call people stupid, but that's perhaps what I'm doing. No, but we will. It's too complicated, and people were just scratching their heads, even though they are so simple. They were so refined.
I remember an old discussion about this,
Yeah.
and I felt like the exact opposite. Basically, in so many ways, I felt that the second edition line of sight rules were easier actually.
Yeah. I mean that.
But then again,
Yeah.
it's the from dot to dot is easy to explain.
Yeah.
Basically, that's it. But when playing, I found the second edition rules super easy, so I never saw a problem. Really with it, but
I've encountered it so many times when people like we that were old war gamers, we have it's instinct to have the version 2 line of sight rules.
Yes,
And
I guess so.
and also, of course, he is totally correct that if you could join and disjoin and jump up, you get more options. It's more interesting. It's more stimulating to play that way. But for the average player, the new player, to understand and to get with everything, I totally agree that this is the more simple way. You get more. And simple in a good way. It's not I'm not beating down the rules. These are the way you want to play. If you want to play bigger tournaments, fast and enjoyable. And so I have no problem whatsoever with the rules as they are. But of course, I would like my hero to jump in and out of vehicles, change
that.
vehicles.
I remember that. I also liked it, but I also remember that it kind of in a couple. I don't know, not too often, but sometimes a bit weird situation could arise, and then I remember it with sort of mixed feelings. I really liked it in my zombie army because it was kind of heavy, with the zombie heroes and stuff like that, and being able to basically use Grenadier X as some sort of missile, like running out on himself by himself.
Yeah. Well.
That was fun, but yeah, it's a streamlining thing, I think.
Yeah.
Making it easier and kind of just taking away a whole bunch of questions and strange things that could happen.
And
sort of shenanigans.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of another stuff as well, linking to what Ia was said here before, or questioned before. I also enjoyed when the heroes could be linked up with an observer squad, because the hero have the command ability and the observers have the microphone, so you can make a small mini HQ without the medics or the repair, and then when you have those together, they could at least reactivate. And I know it was perhaps a little bit power creepy at some points when people did that and put them in certain vehicles and stuff like that, but I still enjoyed the fact that you could go for the cheap. I mean, and it. I think we saw actually a little bit more Bazooka Joes and stuff like that in those days. I mean, and now I feel it's even more power creepy when you place then Bazooka Joe and a command squad in a HQ walker or vehicle or something, or if you have like when you put Iron Joe and the command squad in the PT-47. I mean, it's just and they. But I mean,
you can do some fairly powerful combos still, but on the whole, I think it's a sort of streamlining situation, basically. That kind of trying to. I know that Olivier is trying to keep it simple, and I think it's good. Otherwise, you just get, you know, like layers and layers and layers of rules and all types of different, shenanigans that especially new players can get bad play experience from.
Yeah. I would like to say that they're keeping the rules clear, because the other words we were using is not justifiable or not respectful for the game, actually. I say the rules are clearer and therefore better now.
Yeah, but when I say simple, I don't mean that in a negative way.
No.
I mean that in a positive way, because simple rules is also clearer usually. You don't make them, you know, convoluted. So.
No, that's true. That said, it would be sweet to have a tournament somewhere which would have some home rules and allow you to do all these things, because that you can do. If you miss a few of these rules, do like a special tournament and you are clear to the ones you invite. In this tournament, we will do these special things, because at least in all the tournaments that I've been to, when they've done special things that gone beyond the rules, so to speak, everyone seems to have been enjoying themselves, because everyone is okay. Perhaps in one tournament there were one person who didn't read beforehand what type of tournament, and he had some strange wording in the start of the tournament. But I mean, if you put your name down for a tournament, it's your responsibility to check what is it for kind of tournament you're coming to. I mean, seriously. I'm sorry.
There's also, you know, some of the old rules that I kind of miss. I don't know. I don't have any really specific thing like that. But it, you know, it happens occasionally. Oh, I remember back in the good old days. You know. But one thing that I would really like to see, now that we have been playing the other game, the battle companies for the rings, I would love to see something similar for Dust. I think that would be an amazing thing.
I mean, some small scale action with the small units.
Like a really slow grow. You start with characters building up. I'm not sure exactly how this would be done. Because in Lord of the Rings you don't really play with units. They are sort of, you know, every model for himself basically. But I think you could solve that somehow. You could do it in some kind of steps. You're starting, you know, with like single models doing whatever they want, and then you can, you know, by now you could have units of 3 models, something, and then you know, slowly like building up your own little task force.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you there, and I feel like I'm saying too much, but I had some thoughts on that way before I got ill, and I had worked on something like that with a project there, but unfortunately that is now a little bit in the past, but everything is still kept, so perhaps I could be. But I still haven't produced the episode of the German Master. So I just feel every time I say I will do something, I just go to myself and perhaps you should just finish the things you have promised. I've also
it's
actually.
It's always a lot easier to start projects than to finish them. So,
it's so
that's
true.
Just, you know, sort of fact of life.
Yeah, I promised like a new chapter also to some of the Blood and Thunder novel, but that I actually started reading, starting to rehearse the reading on that yesterday. So I'm still hopeful that I actually will keep my promise in the near couple of weeks here. So. Hopefully.
Still, this is a hobby, and
I know
everything for fun. So,
but it's fun completing stuff as well. you know,
sure.
It gets a satisfying feeling.
So,
we're getting off topic.
Trent, second question. He's asking: I believe you don't allow height advantage in the EU tournaments. What do you find so broken with it? For me, it's just the airdrop units. Only allow them to drop on ground floor, and I think it's good. I actually think it helps make the jetpack units worth their points. That said, I've only used it in gridless games where you generally need to be 2 stories higher to get the height advantage, which usually becomes a pretty big movement penalty, especially if you need to come back down to grab an objective. First, I'm not sure about tournaments. We play with height advantage like all the time, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And the errata version of the height advantage rules was actually written by me.
Yep.
So yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think you and I can claim some sort of responsibility for it being the way it is in Sweden, because when we started, it was us who started the tournaments, mostly you, because you were the tournament organizer. I was just perhaps inspiring you to do the tournaments, but or rather giving you an earful that
you were the boot in my behind.
Yeah, that's perhaps my specialty. But I mean, you and I both wanted terrain. We love tables with interesting terrain, so we quickly decided, in my memory at least, that we're going to do all terrain. We don't care, because we want to do everything. And in the beginning, the rules were a little bit complicated written, and that's what created a problem, because that made it just the same, like the line of sight and everything else. I think so what has happened is, like, for instance, the Polish and also the Germans have been playing without height advantage, and I don't know if I can put this in any term that wouldn't offend all of the Polish people and all the German people and perhaps also some other country inhabitants, and you can have to crucify me or something in Easter or something. But basically, it got too complicated. Too many people had too many questions. So in my memory, that's why Marek always has used no roofs, because he don't want to have the fuss and the fight, and he has to have at least 4 or 5 more people who runs around and explains the height advantage. Even if it's so clear, it's so obvious how you play it, it has become their meta. So I don't think they will change in any time soon.
Yeah, so maybe that's a sort of historical thing in different places. Could be. I can also see that depending on your terrain, it could be a problem. If your sort of arsenal of terrain is sort of limited, let's say you only have a bunch of houses and those are just small, like 1 square houses.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, a unit on top of that will get a very big advantage. So whenever I build a table, I tend to not use that type of building. And if I do, I make sure that there are other buildings or similar stuff, close by. So you can have like 2 units still, above ground level, but like on the same level and have a shootout.
Yeah.
So I think about this when I build the tables, when I put the terrain up, or when I build new terrain, plan a new table or whatever. And if you do that, I don't think it will be a problem. I think it will be a very nice source for interesting choices, for strategic and tactical choices.
Yeah.
So, a lot. Like I said, I don't know about all the different countries, but I can for sure speak of Sweden and definitely about here in Gothenburg. We play with height advantage all the time.
Yeah.
So.
But also, you can we must hold our hands up now, Magnus. Since it's only you and I, and we have to take some responsibility, because I know that the other parts of Sweden has been very, you could say, critical about the way we do our tables in Gothenburg. And it's true that we have more terrain and more bigger buildings than anyone else. So some armies find it a little bit harder to play, perhaps, on our tables. There are a few kind of good arguments that it gets very different in other tournaments. For instance, in Linköping, where they build their tables completely different. But to me, that's the fun part of the thing. You don't want to be the same everywhere. That's why also I don't care that they don't have roofs in Poland on the EU Championship, because that's a special tournament. When you go there, you want that feeling, you want that those set preset.
But that's also like at least when we've organized bigger tournaments, like the Nordic tournaments, we've had a whole bunch of different tables. With some with more terrain and some with less terrain.
Yeah.
So at least from my point of view, we've had that nice variation. And for it's been a while now since I organized an event, but when I did, I always put in that little text of prepare yourself for anything, because the tables will contain a bunch of terrain and they will be different. We will have no duplicates and stuff like that. So build an army that can really handle everything.
Yeah.
So in my view, if you sign up for a tournament like that, and then build an army that can't handle it, well, fine. To me, that's on the player, not on the tables or the organizers. At least in my view. But yeah.
I second that, and that's.
And if you're not happy about it, then organize your own tournament.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
And I definitely hope that the Swedish scene won't be in the future diluted, so we get the same as the EU championships, just because we want to attract more players, because then why should anyone then go to Poland
to me that's a completely different experience, completely different tournament, and one does not exclude the other. One isn't better than the other.
No.
So
definitely not.
It's just different.
Yeah.
So yeah, but to me, when like I said before, that when we're building tables, I think about all kinds of stuff that will impact, and I will always try to make interesting tables and good-looking tables, because to me, a table, or basically any game, not just Dust, any game that looks good will be a lot more fun to play, a lot more immersive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will just enjoy a nice-looking table first and foremost, of course. And the thing, since we are playing gridded Dust for the absolutely most part, I think you can avoid a lot of terrain discussions and line of sight discussion and stuff like that. You can use some really cool and fairly complicated terrain while still keeping the game simple and fast-paced. Yeah. So
clear. Well, I'm trying to remember now. I should say clear, because I know we don't mean anything negative with the simple.
So I think that question is cleared.
Go to the next one.
Also from Trent. What do you guys think about the house rule of not allowing superhumans to contest objectives to help balance them? I don't know. I haven't heard or seen that rule. I haven't really played with it. The one that we sort of usually plays with is the what do we call it?
Strong alone,
which means that superhumans cannot benefit from any of the command action. You can't reactivate them, you can't heal them, basically.
And that's brilliantly written by Roger in Linköping, because
Roger came up with that. And I think it works like a charm, basically.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they are powerhouses and they are supposed to be good, but they also have no backup like that. Yeah. You can't go back home and get some med packs and go back in again. So,
and it's only Nick Fury who can tell the Iron Man what to do, or Hulk or something, and he even has to struggle with it. So I mean, if you have I could say perhaps you could let. In theory, I would agree with that. Perhaps Bazooka Joe could shout at Sergeant Victory, and then perhaps Sergeant Victory would listen. But I mean, these guys, they are superhumans. They are above everything, and even the little thing that I've read about them in the meta and the books and stuff like that, they wouldn't give a fat ass if someone comes and says something to them like, "Oh, go and hold that objective." Seriously? Are you talking to me?
Yeah, thematically, I kind of think, and I don't know, I think I've always regarded the superhumans as sort of an army of one, and they are not, thematically, to me, maybe they are not actually part of the rest of the army. They are there for a very specific reason, for either a personal reason or secret mission or whatever. So they don't really care too much about what the other guys are doing anyway. So I think that that strong alone Rogers rule, it works really well, and it fits thematically, and it helps sort of rebalance them, helps them feel not invincible.
Yeah, because I have never played against them when they had the strong alone in effect in a tournament, and I felt, oh no, you have the Winter Child. Yeah, he's a super troop, and we had him in Linköping last tournament as well. He didn't do that well, and he was taken down fairly easy. It's when you stimulate him, heal him, reactivates him, and have him do his thing twice every turn, and he gets invincible when you get 6 life, type 4 damage resilience then. But if you can grind him down, it's no problem. Yeah. He's
so I don't know, maybe this the house rule that Trent is talking about here, not allowing them to contest objectives. I don't know. Maybe that would work. If it works for you, that's fine, I guess. I haven't really felt any need for that rule specifically because, I don't know.
But we might try it someday, and we can give you more feedback then. But spontaneously, it's no, we don't.
Right, so we're back, and let's
go with next question.
With questions. Yeah, we have a question from our Danish friend, Lasse Dahl. And Lasse is asking, are heroes with the officer skill undercosted compared to command squads? In tournaments, you rarely see command squads as they are all more expensive than taking an officer and putting them in a command vehicle. Maybe it would be better if officer heroes added rerolls to command squads instead. We sort of answered this earlier a little bit, that, we don't really feel that command squads are that overcosted.
No.
At least not to me, no. And I can't really say that I agree with the tournament comment either, because I use and see them all the time. So, yeah.
We kindly disagree. That's just
yeah. Okay, so going to Jeff Rakov. What are your thoughts on the ready-to-play versus the primed miniatures? And for you who don't know, one product line used to be called primed, and they were primered, so you could paint them. You didn't have to prime them yourself. And nowadays they don't really exist except for older boxes, of course. But the newly produced line is called Ready to Play, and they are colored plastic, not primered plastic anymore, just colored. Well, there are pros and cons, I guess. On the whole, I think the product is better. I think the quality of the models have been raised even further.
Yeah.
And it was nice to have the primed ones, but it's not a big problem for me to prime them myself.
No, I usually, if I really paints my models, I usually prime, so to speak, with an undercoat anyway. So to me, it's not a problem. I don't mind it. So, and I haven't done any of those quick ones when you just washed them with a Noon oil or something, and did some face colors. No, so no.
Yeah, I think it's an okay trade-off. To get better quality models, but lose the primer. So, okay. Next question from Jeff is: are there any skills you think should be modified? I think the spores skill should be a free action, and the spore skills is something that the Migo Assault Squad has, for anyone out there not knowing this. I don't know any skills that needs modifying.
No, and the thing is, since they have charge, I feel it can only mix things up. Because you cannot, even if the spores were a free skill, you wouldn't be able to charge, attack, and then drop your spores. And if you
but you could make a a march move to the right place and then
drop
use
the spores. But most likely you would want to, because they have so nice claws, you want to charge with your claws. Perhaps it's a one-off, but then, well, yeah, I just don't feel it that much,
Slanderos play Mythos. It's sort of difficult to answer. Maybe you're right. Maybe it would make them better. But then again, they now have a hero that can join them.
Yeah.
Maybe that will make the unit better.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And I can't really think of any other particular skill, because, there is an errata and FAQ addressing, actually changing some skills. Like, for example, Spy was changed a lot.
Yeah.
On how it can be used, and it clarified on how it works. So I can't really think of anything right now.
No, if you go back to perhaps a little bit that we had talked about before with the old skills, and of course I would like to bring the real Tesla skill back and to make it a proper Tesla skill, because it's not proper now, but it's the same thing. It was for the good of everyone, and there are a few other skills, of course, you want to perhaps modify, because a lot of people are irritated with shooting flamethrowers out of a chopper, or grenade launchers out of a chopper, and stuff like that. There are a lot of things that we could, but at the moment,
more like, I don't know, those are kind of rules stuff. That it would be nice to have a couple of those.
Yeah.
But I can't really think of any other skill or ability like that really needs a change either way. I can't really think of anything that is too good or too bad.
Oh. I bet I will get two of those in my head when we stop the pod, but I'm not getting them right now, so
maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. I can't think of anything. Okay, let's keep this going.
Yeah, please.
We go to Mike Chill, and that's a really cool name. It's a very chill name.
Yeah.
He's asking, any strategies for Allied or Axis versus Winter's Child? My friend crushes us with him every time.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them. If I just do one with I can focus on the Allies and see what you say about the Axis, and then we can always. For me, since Rosie is so good at killing Sergeant Victory, I also suspect that she's quite good at stopping, or at least bringing down Winter Child to a reasonable level. So I would put her with perhaps, especially if I know I'm facing Winter Child, with one of those attack squads, with shotguns, because they have 2 dice on a Type 4 infantry, and 1 flamethrower, because that only gives him the save of damage resilient. But the most important thing is that you get into close combat, and with the new Rosie that is expert on the wrench, you almost know that you will start chipping a life or 2 every time, and it's of course important that you charge him. Another little variation on this is, of course, use Johnny One-Eyed, because he has, that skill, that
Fighting Spirit.
Yes, and that allows him to hit on both crosshair and nation symbols. And if he charges with, for instance, the attack squad or the assault squad, I never remember those two names because I'm stuck in the old days, but then they can shoot a lot and they got the flamethrower and stuff, and then they can assault, and I would use the skill then to make him hit easier in close combat.
The Johnny One Eye and the unit he's joined to, all of them basically get expert on all their weapons for one turn.
Yeah.
So that is devastating. They should really put some hurt on even Winter's Child.
Yeah.
So.
And Johnny One Eye has 5 lives, so he can soak at least 4 of the hits that is coming their way then from, and that means they can fight twice.
Winter's Child, he outright kills anything he touches. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's the only,
that's
thing
true.
in the game that
true.
does that with close combat attacks.
I'm sorry, I'm looking stupid, but that's right for me. But at least he has the possibility if there's. But does he do it with both weapons? Isn't it when he starts getting at you, one of the weapons is only taking lives, and then you can soak them with the Johnny One Eye?
His close combat attacks.
Yeah, they are outright kill.
Yeah.
But when he shoots at you, you can soak with Johnny.
Yeah, he's got radiation, so he makes you re-roll successful saves.
Yeah, but most likely you don't have saves anyway when you stand next to.
No, but I mean, of course,
yeah.
Whatever you decide to throw at him, you have to sort of be aware that it will probably die.
Yeah.
If you don't kill Winter's Child.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm playing my axes against him, obvious choices are zombie squads or gorilla squads.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, many times you put heroes in them because the heroes are pretty good, the gorillas. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, but against Winter's Child, maybe you don't really need them because even the basic units, they can really damage stuff in close combat. They hit really hard.
Yeah.
So that's always an option. If you can, you can always soften him up a little bit, shooting some machine guns. You don't have to, what do you say? Of course, you can focus a lot of firepower on him, but I tend to try to chip away. Like turn 1, I shoot, 1 or 2 guns, whatever, machine gun that can reach him. Maybe I can deal him 1 wound or even 2 wounds if I'm lucky. And that actually makes a huge difference when it really comes down to that close combat. So, but the obvious choices are anything that is good in close combat and anything that uses fire, like flamers and what's it called? Flame Burst is the SSU version.
Yeah.
On at least 1 unit. And anything that has a high firepower. For example, 1 unit that might be overlooked is the Allied Heavy Commando Phaser Squad, the Phaser submachine gunners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't see them used too much.
No, that's true. That's true.
And the thing is that they are firing, each gun is firing 5 dice against all types of infantry. Meaning, if you have all 3 of them, they will actually be firing 15 dice against Winter's Child, which is pretty much because most guns don't fire too many bullets against him.
That's true.
So I've found that they are an okay choice. I mean, he will still have his safe, but just the sheer number of dice you will roll can actually hurt him a little bit. They aren't that good in close combat then, so that's not the unit you will use to throw at him unless you are absolutely desperate. But
definitely.
You can use them to soften him up a little bit.
Yeah, and it's of course important to, it depends on what he attacks as well, because you have the, I'm thinking about you have the big 6-legged support vehicles, like the HQ and the oh my god, the one with the anti-aircraft gun, Skysweeper. Thank you very much. And those have so much machine guns also. So if it gets close and you can advance with one of those, you get a lot of dice, and it's quite cheap units to throw away to try to stop him. Oh yeah, he will probably mash them up pretty good, but they could really give you that little edge of chipping away 1 or 2 wounds.
It's sometimes it's just a question about firepower, basically.
Yeah.
I've had those games where I've faced Winter's Child, and maybe for the first 2 turns I haven't really had that much line of sight or range or whatever, and then on turn like 3 or 4 or something like that, I decide I want to kill this guy, and I focus more or less everything against him. Ordinary rifles, they will still roll 1 or maybe 2 dice or something like that, and added together, it can really whittle him down. Maybe you don't kill him with all that fire, but next round maybe he's on his last wound or something, and you'll be able to finish him off in close combat.
Definitely.
But we also have to say that for quite some time now, we have been playing with the rule we mentioned earlier, the strong alone rule, that Winter's Child and any superhuman cannot be reactivated or healed or gain stimulants, which obviously makes them easier to handle.
Definitely,
so
they do.
That's a rule we recommend for you guys out there.
And I just like to point out as well, and for 7 points, 1 extra wildfire, or perhaps 2, in your armies then, because they can be good anti-air. They have a 8 square range, so they can start chipping away on Winter Child long before he gets close, and it's fast, so it can usually run away from him and still shoot at him. And if you don't want to engage him with the wildfire, he probably has some more infantry units in his side, so then the wildfires can mow them down, because they have a lot of dice against every infantry unit. So that could be 7 points is just 7 points. You can sacrifice that quite easily just to get that little upper hand.
Yeah, and I also, something just hit me here, something we've talked about, it's been a while now, but scenarios. Playing actual scenarios with objectives, that's also something that I encourage everyone to always do. Do not play the last man standing type of game, because frankly, at least to me, they are far from as fun as playing like proper scenarios with objectives, because then you are not only playing against your opponent and his models, you are playing the whole thing. You are using movement to sort of push or make your opponent perform bad movements, like give him bad choices.
Yeah, so, and if you have 2 objectives on the diagonal or something like that, Winter Child can only take 1.
Yeah, he can only be in one place at one time. So keep pressing forward, going for the objectives, making him answer to your moves instead of the other way around, if possible. So that's an important part of it as well.
Definitely.
Okay, let's keep going. We have a fairly new listener here, I guess. We have Andrew Wayne McMahon. Sorry, I probably butchered your name there, but
McMahon, I think.
McMahon. Yeah. Hello, Andrew. Andrew says, I recently played my first game of Dust using the FFG revised core set and 1 Fallschirmjäger battle squad, which I promptly fell in love with. And now I'm considering building an army of Fallschirmjäger backed up by only the Hexi and Geist aircraft, no ground vehicles. Such an army sounds very fun and somewhat realistic to me, as it seems much more likely for airborne units to have access to air support rather than ground vehicles. What are your thoughts on this idea? I think it sounds cool. Gameplay-wise, I'm not really playing Fallschirmjäger myself, so I can't really give any deep thoughts. Do we know somebody who can?
Yeah, we do. We know that Meister himself, Roger, who has a fairly good knowledge of this. So actually, I reached out yesterday to him, and I think we can expect a proper answer to this question by Roger. He has that other podcast, the Griffin podcast. I don't think it will be an answer in their podcast, but I actually think we can lure him to give us an answer that we can have in our podcast.
Yeah, so we will try to get back to that question with a proper answer from somebody who's been playing a lot of Fallschirmjäger.
Yeah, so you get some serious answers, not just us amateurs here.
Right. So, and Andrew also writes, P.S. I found your podcast about a month ago and have thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, thank you, and nice to have you here. Okay, so going to a few of the old timers.
Yeah.
Going to Brian Keith Younes. Hello, Brian. He's asking, how has the pandemic impacted your hobbying?
Yeah, it has dwindled the playability here in Sweden. A lot of people have been held back. Unfortunately, it's been played less. But since, once again, the new online tournament/league that we have put together, I'm so thankful for Emil, who's done this and who's organizing it. I'm trying to support him as much as I can, but it's his show, basically. I'm so happy for it because that has given us the games that we craved.
Yeah, and it's been one of the weirdest summers I've ever experienced. But I tried to kind of look at it in a positive way anyways. I think that a situation like this really gives birth to a lot of new cool ideas like this online league play. That would not have seen, I guess, the light of day unless the pandemic came. So
true.
Hopefully, a lot of good things will come out of this.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Obviously, a lot of bad things also. That's no question about it. But still, I try to look at it in a positive way. Even though there's been a lot less gaming and hobbying than usually and than what I would have wanted. But still, sort of trying to hang in there, and like I mentioned in the beginning, I just got my 3D printer, so I hope that hobby part, the building stuff, will sort of pick up the pace. I kind of miss that. I haven't really built that much in a long time now.
I'm waiting for something new from your side, at least for Dust.
Yeah, I have a bunch of, started things, half finished things. Hopefully.
I know there's some houses. I know there are some tables that you are working on, and I'm not saying anything else, but I know I want to see those finished. So I'm hopeful.
Okay, moving on. We have some more of the old-timer listeners and questioners here. Bill Hegg. Bill is asking if you could add one already in-game ability to a hero, who and what would it be? Ooh, that's a super interesting question.
Yeah.
Could do some seriously broken combos, I guess.
That's true.
And fun combos, I guess, as well.
Well, I have one obvious thing. I think that there has to be a new model or new card for Bazooka Joe, of course. It has to be general. That's just the obvious one.
I'm thinking in that ballpark as well, but I was thinking Sigrid.
Yeah, she as well. She's a bit general.
She do have a couple of different versions.
Yeah.
And in this edition of the game, none of them are officers, which really bugged me.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, is one of the things I really miss from the former edition. I mean, Sigrid is supposed to be, well, now story-wise, she is the head of all the axes, and she used to be super important from the very start of Dust.
Yeah.
And she used, at least, I can't remember if all of the versions were officers before, but now none of them are. So, yeah. there should be a new version of Sigrid or updated version or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Anything else?
Well, I wish I could think of more on the top of my head here. I think we should try to save that question, because I think we could give more interesting answers. But let's face it, this is my 4th day back to work on 100% work hours, and after a half a year totally out of it, I feel like I'm starting to tire now, unfortunately. But we will press on, and that will be the answers for today. Yeah, I know one. I really like, even though that would not make any difference, I would like to have Reggiana get a pilot skill, because she has a KV-47 that she pilots when she's with Koshka, or at least that's what they do in the Winter Child book. They come in the same platoon because they are friends. So friends. The meta is kind of blurred there, but they follow each other around. So when Koshka pilots the Walker, so should also Reggiana be able to do it, I feel. And I don't care if it's just pilot on her card and it's totally useless, but I should be able to put her. It's not totally useless, because you can then pilot the KV-47 towards somewhere, and when it breaks, she runs loose and does all her usual stuff. It's not a useful thing. It would be better if she could use like infantry also as perhaps getting the Walker race or something like that. But then the points will just pop. So, but I want to put her in a Walker. So give her a pilot.
I also actually just remembered one thing I would like to do. I'm not sure about the detail, but anyway, it's the guy from the other book.
Blood and Thunder.
What's the name of the main character? Private.
Oh my
Jack.
God! Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Armbruster. Jack Armbruster. He muddled through the snow.
He's a kind of fun character in my view, but the card for him, the game wise, I think he's a bit lackluster. He isn't terrible.
No, definitely.
And I don't expect him to be like a superhero or anything, because he's a private. But I would like him to have, something. He's got the lucky skill, and that's cool. It works story-wise. But, just something, just a little grain more would make him. And
we've talked about this in an earlier podcast, but I think it was 2 years ago, so it's not too bad to me to reminisce a little bit. I said then that I wanted him to be able to be an air pilot as well. He doesn't have to have, and if he has luck and he's a pilot, that's the type of pilot we talked about before, that it's not a huge thing because you can only use it once, but at least it's a skill, because, I don't want to give away anything, but he's flying something.
If I remember correctly now on the top of my head, he's got the cheat death.
Yeah,
right.
And those are
it
spot
works
on.
fine. But I could see him having like a third once per game effect.
Yeah, he has pilots.
Yeah, okay.
But he should have the pilot everything. So he should pilot everything.
Pilot and the air pilots.
Yeah, then it's
but I could still see him have some kind of once per game effect. I'm not sure exact what it would be, but something more to make him even more fun and just a little smidge better.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, next question from Bill. If you could have a hero go rogue and fight for another block, who would it be, and what block faction would you put them in?
Well, perhaps it's still also that little Reggiana Koshka. Could the Romans perhaps somehow make them? Couldn't they be like, they could be undercover Russian, so they go fight with the Allies, the Ranger 2s, or they should be able to fight with Bazooka Joe, and be like some sort of secret undercover Russian infiltration supportive thing with, I think.
Yeah, I guess you could find a few of those like story-wise cool things that you could do, some kind of crossover. If you just look at it purely gameplay-wise, I don't know, because there are a bunch of heroes in at least in the like core 3 blocks, if we're only counting Axis, Allies, and SSU. Since everything else is still fairly young
Yeah.
and don't have too many heroes. I mean, Koshka is always a good hero. Whatever army she's in, she will perform well, basically.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I guess on the top of my head, no matter if I was playing the Allied or my Axis army, I would be able to find a place for Koshka, I'm sure.
I can bet. Yeah, and it's perhaps I don't know if you could make some strange dealings that perhaps one of these Panzer Prince or Panzer or the other prince, Panzermeister, those two, if they are Wehrmacht from core, perhaps they could be able to be put by one-off in an allied army to fight the Russians or something like that, because I could see that happening.
The Allies kind of lacks pilots and air pilots.
Yeah. And that unholy alliance and also I could see perhaps, like, because we don't see him too much, that a paratrooper allied hero, not Johnny One-Eyed. I'm tired now. Action Jackson, of course, it's what I'm talking about. He and his squad should be able to drop with some Russians to come. I mean, for the like a land lease, something like that. I mean, they are making a joint thing against. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess there are some cool combinations you could come up with. Anyway, moving on here, we're going to another old. Well, I'm not sure if he is old. I don't know how old he is, but anyway.
Well, this is on you.
Yeah.
I'm staying quiet.
A regular listener.
Yeah.
Yes, Mike Pierce.
Yeah.
Mike is asking a few questions here. First one, what are your thoughts on Alex, the new Merc pilot? She can pilot both walkers and airplanes. Yeah, I think it's a cool model. And I think it opens up a lot of interesting possibilities, again, to be able to do some cool combos. And I can't remember, she's like not too many points anyway.
3, if
points,
I'm not mistaken.
That's sort of what I was talking about before. Having pilots to boost your airplanes to be able to do something, a little bit extra, a little bit cooler, but not costing you too much. So.
We love Alex. Alex is wonderful. More Alex to everyone. But you have to go to Poland to get just the Alex. That's of course. I don't mind that.
Yet.
Yeah.
Well, next question from Mike. Do you think the new Merc infantry box validates Mercs as a full faction now?
Hell yeah. We were all over it last episode, and this is just everyone is going to play Mercs now, but I don't care. This is the only one where I don't care if everyone plays Mercs. I will play Mercs as well.
I'm not sure if everyone is going to play Mercs actually, but for sure more will do.
Yeah.
But to me, this is just one of those things that it gives you even more options, both army building wise, gameplay wise, and hobby modeling wise. So if it validates Mercs as a full faction, if I were to play 100% Mercs, like pure Merc army, sure, I would include at least a couple of these units. I'm not sure exactly which configuration, of course, but still, yeah, it makes it better and easier to put together an army, for sure. If I think the mercs are like finished, do they need anything else? Yeah, this will not be the end of mercs releases.
Oh no, definitely. We have talked about the airplane. We talked about the heavy tanks and stuff like that, and we hope that will soon be here. But before these releases, it has been very tricky to get the balance right if you play only mercs. But this will most definitely solve that problem, at least in my mind.
Yeah, since you will have a lot more to choose from. So yeah, it makes mercs as a standalone army a lot more viable. And in general, using mercs, because you will have more interesting choices to kind of support whatever your army or your collection does not include. Or if you just want some more variety in your army building. So cool. Next question here still from Mike. Anyone else see the surge of tanks coming? E10, Super Persian, E15 laser tanks. I'm excited. What do you guys think? Yeah, for sure. I've sort of touted that horn many times.
Oh yeah.
I like tanks, all kinds of tanks. That is sort of, or one of the like historical interests. I like the tank sort of the tank part of World War II is very interesting. There are so many different variations, so many cool things, so many cool ideas that wasn't really realized. And Paolo is really good at using that and developing his own twist on things.
Yeah, definitely.
So a lot of stuff in the Dust game, even some things that look really weird, they do have that they come from something.
They spawn from from history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they do have those like small traces at least. So yeah, that's cool.
Yep, we like it.
And final question from Mike is, what do you guys think about the Fog of War mechanic and the 120 point level? Well, that's actually two questions in one. The Fog of War mechanic.
Well, we love that as well, because it makes it interesting to actually play with no terrain. No, not the Fog of War. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about the cold and stuff like that.
Special War.
Yeah, Special War. Sorry. But the Fog of War is very fun. Unfortunately, the times we played it, it has slowed the game down immensely. So because it's so new to you still, and we play it so little, so I think it will take years before you play quick Fog of War games. But it's a total different layer, and I so love it.
I think it's a really cool thing. I wouldn't want to play it all the time.
No, definitely.
For me, it feels more like when you're playing some kind of narrative scenario or something a little bit more special. I wouldn't want to play it all the time. If it's used on a tournament, I think it should be used like only on one of those, whatever, 3, 4, 5 games you're playing, because it's a bit special. In both a good and a sort of bad way, because like you said, it tends, at least for us, it has kind of slowed down, at least the beginning, the first 1-2 rounds of the game, a little bit.
Oh, a lot, not a little bit. It's immensely slowing the game down.
Yeah.
I would like to jump in there, unfortunately, and be rude and say just never in a tournament. It doesn't matter what tournament. It can't be in tournaments. It takes too long. As the tournament thing, it's important that the games go fast in tournament. Otherwise, if you face a guy who has 20 activations and Fog of War, you don't have to come to the table. You can go have a shit instead or something. I'm sorry.
That is related to the other part here of Mike's question with the 120 point levels. Yeah, the Fog of War, it depends on how big of a battle you are playing. Of course, because the bigger battle you're playing, it kind of slows down exponentially, basically. So, I don't know. The answer is yes, we like it, but only on special occasions.
Yeah.
Something like that. The 120 point level, I'm not quite sure what Mike is asking about.
It's more that it's more, nowadays it's more 120 in tournaments, and it's creeping up.
Is this related to some specific discussion on Facebook or something? That
I know he popped it on the Facebook thread as well. I was thinking about this. There were some discussions about it, but I feel like, well, it's a natural occurrence, and I actually wouldn't mind if officially if it crept up to 140 as well. 120 is a good level, but it's like we talked about on different shows beforehand. And I mean, playing 60 points is fun. Playing 80 points is fun. Playing 100 points is fun. Don't play the same way always. And the more points, the slower the game. So, but I think it's still, if you play 3 mats as we do in the EU Championship, I think they can go up to 140. Just as we don't have to have any half points, so don't stop on 130 or 132. No, it's 120, 140, 160, 180. Or 100.
So you can divide it properly and use. Yeah. Well, anyways, I agree with you there. It's for me, it's just another point level. So if it's an event, just play that event on the point level that the organizer decided, and that's it. When you're playing at home, you can play whatever you like, and me. 120 isn't really that different from 100. Sure, you can throw in something bigger that maybe you wouldn't afford in a 100-point game. So you get some more choices when building your army. Yeah, sure, but when you're actually playing the games, the only effect basically is that it takes a little bit longer. So when in an event, the organizer absolutely have to calculate, give the players some extra time.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
There's one army I found that are really reaping the benefits of an increase from 100 to 120, and I think will really also be benefited by going to 140, and that's the Steel Guards, because I feel like they are so expensive but when you get to that extra activation, when you get that extra squad in, no matter what squad you're playing in or different strategies, that really gives them the possibility more to handle more opponents.
That's an interesting meta question. Are there specific armies, specific factions or army builds that benefits from specific point levels? And yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, they are, definitely.
That's an interesting topic in and of itself.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to the next guy, which is Olivier Galka.
Yep.
Will you guys be at the EU Championships?
Well, will you, Magnus?
At the moment, I don't think so, for different reasons. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I don't think so.
No, I understand. You have a little bit more demanding family situation than mine, so but I will do my best. I have the motivation to go. I have the need to go. I have the okay from my boss to go. I don't know if my wallet yet has the okay, but you can sleep on the street outside the building. You can go by the cheapest bus there is, and well, there's always a way to get there and always a way to take part. So I see no problem with the economics, even though it would be nice to have a bag of gold with you so you can bring some sweet things home afterwards. But well, yeah. The most important thing is just getting there for me. So it would be shame if something happened this year that made me not go. But
yeah, I was really geared up to go before the
pandemic,
hit, so that was very unfortunate. If it wasn't for that, I definitely think I would have gone. I was super close, speaking to a good friend Mats about booking and everything. Sort of, okay. So are we going to book now, today, tomorrow, next week? Just, doing the fine planning, and then everything shut down. So. Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Moving on, we're going back actually to Eavos with another question.
Yeah, apparently he had more questions.
The first one was an older question, but this one is a recent one.
Yeah.
He's asking, how useful do you think the new mercenary units will be in your armies? Ooh, that's a very good question.
I should jump in then when you think about it. They would be very useful, but I have always restrained from using the old mercenaries, who are extremely good unit, and I've actually been a little bit crossed with myself that I haven't put them in more regularly, because there are some really nasty combinations when all of a sudden from your transport or something there's 5 girls with 2 flamers and 3 grenade launchers popping out. So I have some restraints on myself that would probably make it hard for me to take them, just because I'm stupid in my head. And that's my 2 cents of it. But
I'm not sure. Both my Axis and Allies collection are fairly big. So I don't know if I have, some specific that I need to cover with a new squad like that. But I still, like we said before, we talked about variation and those dust in all its simplicity still has those really fine nuances, number of dice, damage per hit, range and stuff like that. It's all very fine-tuned, and if you just look quickly on 2 cards, they can look very similar, but that one number that differs can be really important.
But for both your German and your Allied army, you want to put in that 5-point double sniper rifle squad, because if you put another regular sniper squad in, it's 4 points, it's only 2 models. Now you get 2 rifles, just like the Russians, and you have 3 characters that can give some protective fire if someone comes close, and you can sacrifice them in a sniper duel, so to speak. So
that's an interesting unit in many ways. So I'm sure I can find use and space for couple of merc units without any problems. I don't see any specific place that I really need to put a unit in. But
that's one for mine, at least.
But you can always find something, because of those small differences. Like you said, it's 1 point and 1 rifle. If on paper, or if you're new to the game, maybe that doesn't seem like a big difference. But it can be a huge difference.
Oh yeah.
So,
and also, actually, I realized that the merc units, which that is like that anti-air kind of thing, because I'm always, as an Allied, even though they have all the rifles that fire 1 die, and I can always surprise you and taking down a chopper with like a grenade launcher and stuff like that. But having those, I've been always envy on the Germans. They have all these Fliegerfausts, and so one of those squads for the Rangers. I actually think that these new mercenary squads mixed in 2 or 3 with the Ranger 2s might just be the boost that the Ranger 2s actually could need.
Interesting.
I'm hopeless optimistic and romantic about the Ranger 2s. I always see the reason why they should come up to this. And then I play them and then I crash.
It's one of the original armies.
Yeah.
It's cool and good looking. And those, those are some really old models by now, but they still hold up.
Oh, yeah.
They still many of them are still, super cool, at least to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree so much.
Okay, we're moving to Marco Conradi.
Yes.
And he's asking, what's the best way to deal with ninjas?
Well, that's also something you almost should ask Roger because he is the Ninja King. And I've tried to get myself to games with ninjas, but I always seems to miss the opponents that play ninjas in the tournaments. But I had one little test when I played the Steel Guards versus them, and Johannes played the ninjas, and the Steel Guards ate the ninjas like there was no tomorrow. So Steel Guards is definitely a good answer to ninjas.
Yeah, it's the ninjas. There are a bunch of different ninja units, and they are basically all good units. They do various things, obviously, but they are good units. But then it depends on how. If your opponent are facing like 100% ninjas, well, bring an airplane.
Yeah, definitely.
Or maybe two. You can always use mortars, for example. Like the universal answers for a lot of questions are flamers of various sorts. They tend to work well against a lot of things. But it depends. If the ninjas are not, if the opponent are not bringing 100% ninjas, if they are bringing other stuff, you have to consider that as well. So
definitely.
It's a hard question to answer just with easy button.
But
basically nothing in the game has a simple answer like that.
No.
But there are ways to counter it. You just have to, think a little bit about it.
Yep.
The hard thing is when you're building a tournament army that needs to be able to handle so many different things. That's the really tough question.
Yeah.
If you know you are going to face ninjas, I guess you need airplanes. That's always good. Mortars, fine, like we said. And I would also say maybe a couple of pretty fast units so you can counter if they are moving to an objective or something like that, because they have this what's it called, advanced camouflage. So you need to get really close, or at least you need to move there very quickly to contest. Otherwise, they might straight up win games objective wise.
Well, what I can say as well is that Winter Child is not an answer. If you consider the last tournament in Linköping, because one of the Winter Childs went head to head with Roger and his ninjas, and I think Roger poured 7 squads on him, and in the end he died. And then Roger, of course, have 3 more ninja squads that takes the objective for you, while the other ones are busy dying on. Yeah, it is, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so I don't know, the advice is probably to try some different things, check what you have in your collection, try it out, check different units on all the cards are available online, so you can always go there and check some different things. So.
And allied walkers. If you have some level 4 walkers, or if you have your German walkers as well, because they only have the improvised weapons on them. So you can have
railgun ninjas, but
of course, and then you have to make sure you take them out. But usually the normal ninjas want to cover themselves in smoke, and then the railguns won't see you either.
Yeah, the ninjas are, I'm talking general here.
Yeah.
They are really good against infantry units. Plus, they have their camouflage, so they have they have some survivability by that. But they are not good against airplanes, and a lot of them are pretty bad against vehicles. They don't really have any upper hand in any way against vehicles. So, the problem is that they are fairly cheap. You can run a lot of ninjas.
Definitely.
So yeah. Okay, so we're going to a question from the maestro, Paolo Parente, or I guess, I'm not sure if this is a question.
I don't know.
Do you want to read it?
I don't know. I can try. Ooh! Or I don't know, Paolo.
Ooh to you too?
Yeah, definitely. Big ooh, a big double ooh. Oh, I don't know. Just love to see you writing something, but this is hard to get. I don't know.
Well, finally, we've come a long way. It takes taken some time, but we're going to finish this with our good Norwegian friend, Loke.
Yes.
Hi, Loke. The first question from Loke is, Dust Nordic 2020, what's the status? Any update or planning?
Well, we tried to get hold of Mats earlier, and we thought we should just surprise him with giving him some questions, but he's blanking us. He's not answering our calls, so I don't know. We will try to get some more answers because it's him and Johannes that are the Nordic organizers.
I don't. As far as I know, there hasn't been too much of an update because here in Sweden we are sort of waiting for some decisions from the government, exactly what's going to happen now during the last part of the year.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of things up in the air, like what will be possible. So I guess it's still just waiting.
Unfortunately.
Right now.
Hopefully we can give you something better next episode. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, next question from Loke is, how do you think Skype will contribute, or I guess Skype and similar stuff will contribute, add, develop Dust 9047? What about rules or scenarios for a web day of Dust? Yeah, I think it will have a big impact. We've already mentioned the online league that we started.
And I'm just so happy to say that Luke is our newest addition to the league. So I'm so happy to see him, and he will be playing in that. So hopefully we will be inspiring for the rule developers as well. Perhaps they see this and they make some special things. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said before, a situation like this sort of spawns quite a few good things when people need to start thinking out of the box, or maybe try that idea that they once had but never really got around to.
Yep.
So some good things can come out of situations like this. Okay, finally Loke asks, as a gamer, will the wait for news and models to arrive challenge the Dust 9047 community? With sort of cheap solutions like new terrain from War Factory. Oh, sorry, I'm messing up this question. Let's start again. As a gamer, will the wait for new models and news to arrive challenge the Dust 1947 community? That's the first part of the question.
Yeah.
So let's start with that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Wait, I mean, there hasn't been too many new stuff released.
No, but we know that there will be a batch now very, very, very soon. So, of course, people might have been too patient. But to me, it's been fine because I haven't had the money to go all in. I'm happy that the Mercs aren't here yet, that I've been able to hopefully so I can afford them. So
and sort of get a chance to get some things painted before the new cool stuff arrives.
Definitely.
So I don't know. It's I mean, new stuff kind of keeps the interest and the hobby going for us hobbyists, and of course, for the company, they need to sell their stuff. But I don't know. I think the community as such is a pretty strong community and dedicated, committed, and really. I don't think it will be like damaged in that way. I don't think a lot of players will drop off. Not too many, at least. Now that we're seeing stuff like online play, interest can be kept up anyways.
Hopefully, yeah.
So, yeah, and the next part here is what about these like not Dust Studio terrain from War Factory or even like local from us hobbyists? Some are doing their own stuff. What about that? Yeah, I think it's a possibility for completely different things to see the light of day again, both from a War Factory producing their own stuff. Of course, that's sort of balance they have to do so they don't like compete with themselves too much. You know? You don't want to release one product that sort of replaces another one.
No.
Directly. But I think from what I've seen, the latest terrain there from War Factory, it was very simple, very, not too much detail. But still, it looked okay. So I guess if you just want some quick, cheap terrain, it can work nicely. But it won't really compete with the studio stuff. I mean, the resin cast terrain that looks just amazing.
Yeah.
So as long as you do it in a sensible way. Regarding us hobbyists, I mean, we can of course create whatever we want for just our personal use. You can of course create and sell some stuff, but I don't think too many people will do that because it takes a lot of time to build and do. If you want to get some type of actual price for the stuff you sell, it's going to be insanely
especially with the 3D printers now, as we talked about earlier, coming into a fray. I think it's the small business versions that perhaps were viable before that you could perhaps sell on eBay or Tradera. Perhaps I think it's gone now for you to make your own terrain and sell online, because it's not gonna it's not gonna be
difficult. Even if you design your own stuff and then 3D print it, it's still a lot of work to do it. Don't underestimate, because you can find a lot of stuff on Thingiverse and other places, and that's all fine, but that is for the most part it's not allowed to sell because it's not your property, it's not your intellectual property, it's somebody else who designed it. Maybe that person will never find out about it, but still, I mean, strictly legally, it's in most cases it's not allowed.
Yeah, it's a good thought.
So if you want to sell stuff, you have to design it yourself, and that takes a lot of time as well.
Yeah.
So you have to do some sort of investment in that.
Yeah. So, Okay. So
I think
that was the mailbag, I think. Yeah.
For this episode.
Yeah.
It was a bit weird episode, but
it's
a weird time we're living in right now. So anything else to add?
No, I just wish everything goes back to normal next episode and next life and next everything, and just I hope sincerely I will see you all.
Yeah, see you all on the battlefield.
Thank you for listening to Dust War Journals. You can find us at dustwarjournals.com or on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dust War Journals. And you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/dustwarjournals. All music used in this podcast is made by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com.